Hi, Sally Ann again with you this week, and I'm very happy that Sharon Hoffman, our guest dietitian, is back for part two of our series in women's health. And just a reminder, Sharon is an expert in helping women balance their unbalanced hormones. Welcome, Sharon.
Hi, Sally Ann. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I'm really interested today in our topic, which is endometriosis, and learning a little bit more about, the condition and how, nutrition management can actually help alleviate symptoms. So
Yeah,
let's get underway. So,
yeah.
some of our listeners may be aware of the condition, but for those that aren't, I think it would be great just to explain what it is and what we know about the causes of it as well.
Absolutely. So, look, endometriosis, or endo, as I often refer to it as, it's a condition where the endometrial lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus. It can be quite painful. It looks like lesions on the uterus. It can weave its way, attach itself to the bowel. It can be a pretty awful and debilitating condition. It results in a lot of inflammation for people and often a lot of pain associated. A lot of people have it for a long time before it's actually been diagnosed, though I have noticed more recently we're getting more and more diagnoses, so a lot more of the traditional medical community are becoming more aware of it, which is excellent.
Yes. Yeah. I think I read somewhere that with endometriosis, it could be affecting about 1 in 7 women who in
Mm,
the reproductive age range.
yes, 1 in 6 was a stat I read not so long ago.
Wow, that's been
Um,
updated.
yeah, so quite a lot. I mean, if you've got a room of six friends, six women, chances are at least someone's going to be affected in some way.
So with the symptoms, pain is obviously a big one, but what else
Hmm.
is happening for these women?
Super heavy periods is a big thing, and a lot of pain associated with their menstrual cycle. Often a lot of ovulation pain as well, not only just when they're menstruating. And really interestingly, I think the messaging is getting out more and more that periods aren't actually meant to be painful. We all grew up thinking that you have a bit of pain, you get cramps, you have a bit of pain during your period. And a lot of the amount of women that I get in who particularly are in their 30s to 40s who have just been diagnosed and, started having their periods as teenagers, what, 13, 14, 15-ish age. So that's about 13, 15 years of dealing with this and having been to repeated medical practitioners and just being told that periods are painful and suck it up, essentially. And a lot of women do. And it's such a testament to women with the pain threshold that we often have, because a lot of women just get on with life and put up with it. So yeah, so mostly pain. And with endo, women have what we call flare-ups. So it's an intense couple of days, and it's again different for everybody. It could be at the start of your period, in the middle, could sometimes at the end, but it's usually more in the lead up to. Can last anything from 1 to 5 days. I've had some women who have flare-ups for a couple of weeks. So it's quite different for everyone, but it's really that intense pain. Often, women often have IBS symptoms associated as well, and they're often not connected. So, as in, they might go to the GP because they're getting IBS. So, constipation, bloatedness, diarrhea, any of the above. Nausea can happen as well. Sometimes vomiting if the pain's bad enough. So, a whole gamut of fun little symptoms that people have to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, so in terms of how we eat,
Mm.
what can we do, perhaps with the types of foods we're eating, but potentially the amounts that we're eating as well? What's been shown to actually help alleviate some of these symptoms?
Sure. Well, we consider endometriosis an inflammatory condition. So the foods that we tend to go for are anti-inflammatory foods. So they are things like there's a whole little list, but it can include things like berries, walnuts, turmeric, which you can also get in supplement form called curcumin,
Mm.
pineapple. The substance in pineapple bromine has been found to help with some inflammation at times. One great one for endometriosis is actually the Brassica family,
Yes.
which includes, as you know, your broccoli, cabbage, kales, all those sort of, I can never pronounce it,
Cruciferous.
Cruciferous leafy
Just
greens.
don't let me think about it too much because I'll get tongue-tied as well.
Your cruciferous leafy greens. So they in particular have been found to lower estrogen. Now, also worth saying, endometriosis is an estrogen-loving condition. So it's often a proliferation of estrogen in our system. So the Brassica family actually help lower estrogen in your system. So we tend to try and increase the amount of anti-inflammatory foods in someone's diet. And there are some things that we would try to avoid as well. Those would include, again, different for everyone. It's really worth saying that it's not a one size fits all solution. What we tend to do with people is I tend to try and figure out what causes flare-ups. And those things either tend to be one of the following. It's usually either dairy, gluten, sugar, or alcohol and caffeine tend to be the main culprits, which probably rear their head up a few times with different conditions as we go along. So how I like to help my clients is I work on the old adage that I like to use is that knowledge is power. So once you figure out what causes your flare up, you then get to choose what you do with that information. So say dairy is an issue, but you're going out for ice cream with a girlfriend or your kids or something, and you just want to have some ice cream to enjoy it, go and do it. You know you're probably going to get a flare up or some pain afterwards, but that choice is yours. You have the power to choose what you want to do. So yeah, I always start with the easiest thing with people. We'll start by removing dairy, seems to be the easiest for most people, and then we go from there.
Yeah, out of interest with dairy, do you notice any difference between, say, yogurt, milk and cheese, or is it all dairy?
Yeah, it tends to go with, like any sort of lactose intolerance that anyone would have, people tend to have a bit of a threshold. And we tend to find that like your Greek and plain yogurts and your hard cheeses are far more tolerated than soft cheese and ice cream and full cream milk. And also people often find they've got a threshold. So they might be able to have, say, a tub of yogurt, but they couldn't have a milkshake. Or they might be able to have a small coffee, but not a large coffee. That sort of thing.
Yeah, because it's interesting, isn't it, with dairy? And I think we're going to find out more in time about the fermentation process for cheeses and yogurt. Sure, that's removing most of the lactose, but it's also providing, you know, some extra supportive bugs, you know, for
That's
our
right.
guts. So
for your gut.
So much to learn, I think, still in that area.
Yeah.
You know, but the evidence seems to be coming that the fermented dairies are more helpful than, say, dairy milks.
Yeah, and much more tolerated by people as well, it seems to be. Yeah.
And are there any other treatments recommended, you know, for reducing the symptoms of endometriosis?
Look, here, apart from we do, you know, dietary elimination, from a diet perspective, that is kind of it, really. There are some supplements that we can recommend. Things like magnesium helps with a bit of pain, turmeric, as I mentioned before, or curcumin, as it's called in supplement form, as an anti-inflammatory. Vitamin D tends to be a good one too. I think depending on the severity, and so there are different stages of endometriosis as well. So type 1 through to type 4, type 4 being the most severe form of endometriosis, can end up in surgery depending on the person's preference and the severity of the endo. So that is an option as well. A lot of people get put on contraceptions, IUDs, the pill. There's all different types of pills on the market these days. And that is all in an effort to try and manage that estrogen level in your system, I believe.
Yes.
So there are a few different options out there for people. And again, it's all about, I think, doing what you feel most comfortable with. Some people will do the surgery and are really happy with it. Some people will choose not to and try every other intervention before that. And there's no right or wrong answer with that. what you prefer to do is completely okay.
Yeah, and I suppose the good news, and it might sound a bit warped to some of our listeners, but those who listen to me regularly will not be so surprised. But the good news is, like with some of the dietary changes that you've suggested, that I think it's only still about 10% of Australian adults are eating enough vegetables. So there's probably room,
wiggle room. Yeah.
if there's any food that I'm always talking about, it's vegetables, like put them in your coffee if you have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Although I don't know that broccoli in your coffee would taste that good.
No, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. So
yes.
there is definitely room to change, and I think the good thing is that when your clients see some improvement, and then when they choose to have foods that might cause flare-ups, as you mentioned as well, they'll understand why they've had them, and right. As you said, like with dairy, they might work out, well, I can have that tub of yogurt a day, but that's it, or I can have some cheese. So it's really quite liberating and empowering that, as you said, once they've got that knowledge and it's been personalised to them, they've got a better guide on how to live with this condition. So let me ask you, with endometriosis, is it something that once it has developed for women, they've basically got right through to menopause?
From what I understand, yes, there is no cure that we know of yet. It is all management from here on in.
Yes.
There is, like with surgery, we can reduce the amount of lesions, but they're never going to completely all go away, unfortunately. So it's managing it and just trying to make the symptoms as tolerable as they can.
Yeah. And I think it's just a timely reminder that if you do know someone that is having painful periods, that just don't give up, just go and see a specialist and just see if it is endometriosis, because there's nothing worse. And I look back at most of my menstruating life, and it was painful most months. And, it's something you often wonder, well, did I have endometriosis? Or, was something else, happening? It could have been stress at certain parts of my life as well. But
absolutely.
And that's what I was going to say about endometriosis. I'm sure relaxation and mindfulness and stress reduction are all really important as well.
Yes, absolutely. Stress is a big factor, as is sleep as well. And actually, just thinking about relaxation, what you were just mentioning, there is very worth saying, having a GP on your side who's willing to support your choices, a specialist should you need to, like a gynecologist, a dietitian, that we are all just one part of your toolkit. There are women's health physiotherapists out there who can help with muscular pain and help, releasing those. Same with women's exercise physiologists. There's a whole gamut of health professionals out there who specialise in pelvic pain and can help. And it's definitely worth having a full team around you. There's not just one avenue is not just going to fix everything. I think it's a culmination of therapies and treatments that I think people get the most benefit from.
Yeah, and I think that big one, that lack of sleep, for all of us is quite crucial. If your sleep cycle starts getting disrupted, then that's not normal either.
Yes.
Quite detrimental to our overall health and well-being. So I'm sort of hoping that's one area of health I think we don't have as many services available for, is the sleep. I often come across it too with my perimenopausal and menopausal clients. But also I work with a lot of healthcare practitioners who have been on shift work and so forth, and they're just getting the sleep cycles back is really important. So many times I've actually sort of said to clients, well, yes, you can work with me, but only if you will work with someone, to get your sleep right.
That's great.
But I must say that there's still not as many services that are accessible. People wanting to improve their sleep. But there are some simple things that people can put into practice and get support for as well in terms of sleep.
That's right.
So Sharon, is there anything you'd like to sum up for us or share anything additional around endometriosis?
I know we talked about the Brassica family, and I know we did a plug for Veggies, but I'm just going to do another plug for them again.
Good.
Fibre is a massive help.
Yes.
Fibre is a great, apart from helping your gut health and all of that sort of stuff, the excess fibre can actually help excrete excess estrogen out of your system as well. Same with cholesterol, if that's a concern for you too.
Yeah.
But the more fibre, the better. However, it's really important to note if you are increasing your fibre, so increasing your veggies, you need to increase your water intake so we don't get blocked up.
No.
So obviously maintaining your water intake is really important as well.
Yeah.
So that would be another little thing I would say about endo is, apart from, a few little supplements, keeping up your fibre. And I think it's figuring out what is causing your pain is sort of the main thing that I work with people. And I think that's can be a really powerful thing. So some people find they've been diagnosed with endometriosis, but it's actually not causing them any concerns. Then that's okay. That's okay as well. The one thing I will note though is, if you're someone who's wanting to fall pregnant and you have been diagnosed with endometriosis, because of the way that it grows in your uterus, it can be an issue. So that would be something that you would need to see a specialist about if that was you, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Sharon, I know you've got a great resource on endometriosis. Can you just share with our listeners about how they can get access to that?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Sally-Ann. Look, I've written a little book, just a little ebook called All About Endometriosis. It's on my website, which is www.womenshealthdietitian.com.au. I really would like to say the reason I wrote this is because I do find myself repeating a lot of the same information to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But to do that, you have to have a one-on-one session with me to get all that information. And I would like to try and make it a little bit more accessible. It's cheaper than a private session. And so that is why I wrote the book, just to try and get that information out to as many people who are interested in an evidence-based approach with the nuts and bolts of what a dietitian would tell you. Very worth saying, though, that it doesn't replace individualised service, and I would always recommend seeing a healthcare professional before undertaking any elimination diets or any extreme dietary changes.
No, that's right. And this is what so many ladies say to me as well, is that you spend so much time in the wilderness, trying to work it out by yourself. And it can be quite debilitating, and it can be quite frustrating and depressing.
Overwhelming.
And, so many people will say to me, and you probably hear it as well, I should have come sooner, or I wish I knew about this. But at least, having access to the book, as you said, they'll get some knowledge, but definitely having that coaching or consulting, an individual consult will really focus in on your individual issues, which, as we've said, are different for everyone.
They really are. Yep.
Yeah. So, as we said in our last episode, we, as dietitians, I think all take that personalised and very holistic and friendly approach to work with our clients as individuals, not just this stock standard diet advice that you get through many other programs that are not conducted by 100%. A dietitian. And again, I'll make sure the link to your website and the book is available on this episode's notes.
Lovely, thank you.
So, Sharon, it's been great having these 2 episodes with you. I really appreciate the time for you to join us on the Eating for You podcast.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Sally-Ann. I've really enjoyed the experience. It's been great.
That's great. And if you've been listening and thinking you would like some additional support in general around healthier eating and healthier living, then you're most welcome to check out our free Eating for You community on Facebook as well. And I'll make sure the link is there with this episode's notes. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and also share the link on your social media pages.